Alright, this is Joshua Leonard with Group 4 for the group project CIS 266. What I'm going to be doing is demonstrating the final results of the projects. The ones that we chose to do were projects 3 and 5, the media player as well as the tic-tac-toe game. So let's go ahead and start off with the media player. Demonstrate that. Alrighty, sorry, my computer's kind of slow. So we have our media player here. Pretty simple on how it works. We have a file with an open button up here that lets you open up your file directory and choose any file you want to play. And we have it set up to where you can put a bunch of different types of files into your playlist, so you're not limited to one particular type. See, it plays. And down here we also have a plus button, which you can add. Basically does the same thing as the open function, just a little quicker. And we also have it set up to where it changes. The playlist changes whenever you hit the media buttons on the media player, or the previous and next buttons. And then down here we also have a minus button, which just essentially deletes the tracks from your playlist. And that's about it as far as the media player demonstration goes. Then our last one was the tic-tac-toe game. Basically just your average run-of-the-mill tic-tac-toe. X chooses a square, and circle chooses a square. X chooses one. You can win going diagonal, horizontal, or vertical. Just basic tic-tac-toe. Nothing too out of the ordinary with the rules or anything. Just do one circle winning. So you can see there's also a message for, depending on who wins, there's a different message. And that's about it. As far as the demonstration for these two applications go, that's all there is.
So, when this form starts, it initializes a playlist up here. It calls up my playlist. And the first thing that happens is the open file dialog is set up. And the multi-select on that is set to true, so you can select multiple files. And the filter includes MP3, WAV, MP4, MOV, WMV, 3GP, MPG, and FLV file types, which means you can select any one of those and add them to your playlist. Next thing that happens is the if OK statement for the open file dialog. First thing that happens is it checks to make sure there's at least something, and it checks if there's something already in the list box. If there is, it'll clear it here, and it'll clear the current playlist. Next thing that happens is a for statement for each of the save file names that you selected. It will add it to the list box. It will add it to, and it'll add it to the playlist over here. Once we get out of that, we set the current playlist. We initialize the current playlist to this one, and then we start playing it. Now we also have a thing that if you select something from the list box, it will check to make sure there's something in the list box, and if there is, it will set the current media player to. It will set the current media in the media player to that file, and then it'll start playing it here.
So, my name is Joe Danielson, and I have the second part of the third project with the media player. And as Ethan said earlier, we have the ability to add items to the list box that we have to play. And the other add button is going to be the same exact thing. It's just whenever you add it, it doesn't clear and it doesn't play. So this one just adds. It won't start playing right away. So again, it has the open file dialog. That's just whenever you press that, so it opens it up so you can find your file formats for MP3, WAV, MP4, MOV, and etc. with that. And then if you click OK, you can click cancel, which goes out. But if you click OK, then you'll get into that, and you'll be able to choose from safe file names that are available. Then you'll be able to choose from the list anywhere in your computer, and that's where it adds it. It adds it to the list there and puts it into the media. So the media right here, the library, that's the interface that's available for us. And the media becomes a variable, if you will, which is going to hold that specific file name that we get. And then it puts it into that current playlist we have. It puts that media right here into the current playlist we have. So that way you can play it from later on whenever you go through that. And so then this method that we have next, this one is specifically just for whenever the playing changes, like the song changes differently. And so he actually made this one separate, as opposed to like clicking a button and it making a sender and event object for you. So he actually wrote the sender and then the E for the event object, because the event is the play state change that he made. And up here, the if, this first if that we have, that's just going to be checking to see if anything's playing in the list box that's available right there, so you can be able to switch back and forth basically. And then this for loop and this if loop right here, it's going to go through your current playlist, and then what's going to be available is changing the song. So whenever you change the song, it's gonna actually be able to change the list box for like what's highlighted and what's going to be played and everything like that, which is what this whole method allows for. And then the second button down here, it's the last button, and it's the minus button or the subtract remove button that he's got. So I did change it up a bit right here, but I'll explain that in a sec, in case you noticed that right away. But in the beginning, he just has this line for whatever you end up selecting, or what's playing, what you have selected right then, is just going to be put into this variable selected right here. And so then I added this comment right here, add an if here in case removing is unsuccessful. So what I noticed was if you just hit the remove button right away, you didn't have anything selected, then it crashes. So if it was me, I would also add an if statement to where if nothing was clicked, then it would say like unavailable or something along those lines. But that's just an added thing that he didn't have in there that I noticed. So here again we get into the media library from the media that's available. We have the variable media, if you will, and it gets from the current playlist to just what you have that's selected, and then it removes that media right there, yes. And then he also added the stop function, so that after you remove it, in case you're removing something that you stopped, it just will stop that song as well. And then it removes it from the list right here of what you have selected.
Alright, so I'm going to be going over Project 5, just the first parts of code here. These first 9 lines come with every part of code. They just initialize the whole project. Line 11 right here just declares the name. It's the tic-tac-toe game. C# Project 5 is what we're going over. And then this first line of code right here is the actual pictures, the O and the X that you insert. Once you get in there, it's like where the images reside. Here we declare the turn, so that when we change turns, we'll have something to reference back to. This next two lines just set the buttons, and then we get into the form code. These two lines actually set the O and the X mark once you click on one of the buttons of the game, depending on who you are. If you have the O, it's going to set the O. If you're playing with X's, it sets the X. Then this right here, this is for whenever you check later on in the game to see who won. It corrects the game into rows and columns. This next line just adds an event handler after every move. And then we get into the next move code. And then the next move right here, these three lines, once you set either the X or the O, once you make the move, it actually sets those those entries on the board, so you can't change it. So say you put an O on one and you try to click it again, you couldn't change it again. This next line, line 36, is just checking the code and then setting the background image depending on what you picked. The center.text, line 44 right here, it just changes the checks the code once you select it, so there's only the image there. That just changes the turn. And then this is the change of the turn code. It tells you once you change the turn who to pick the next square. Right here, this just checks the checkboard after turn 5 to see if anybody has won the game. This is the actual checking of the code. It checks for the rows to see if there's 3 correct background images that are the same, and declares a winner.
Okay, so for the public void checkboard, we're going to be checking to see if there is a winner. For this first for loop, we're checking to see if the game has been won by a row or column. You have to get 3 in a row to win. It's tic-tac-toe. And so first we have the element, so this is the first button. And if the image is clicked and it's equal to the next one, and it's also equal to the next one next to that, so that means there's 3 buttons clicked in a row. This is for the row, then we have a winner. This is for either of the rows, so we have 3 rows. So as long as 3 buttons are clicked in a row for the same X or 0, then that's the winner in a row. And for the column, it's pretty much the same, except we're going up and down, so you have to get 3 in a row that way. And this is right here, the if winner is not equal to null, and that's needed to, so that not all the rows or columns need to be clicked for there to be a winner. We just need 1 row of 3 in a row or 1 column of 3 in a row. And then we have a break to get out of the for loop. And then next we have another if statement. So this is if the game is won diagonally, so left to right or right to left. And the first one goes through left to right, so we have like the leftmost image button if that's clicked, and then we have the center, and then we have the right bottom image if that's clicked, and then that's a winner. And then this is the same way here in this next if statement, except it's going the other way. And then we have another if statement to display a message box if X has won or if O has won the game. So right here, if winner is equal to X img, that's the X image, then it shows X has won the game. The same thing with if winner is O img, that's if O has won the game. That has 3 in a row. And that is the code. Thank you.